Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the NPR edition of Good Morning, Josh. We're so glad
My name is Josh.
And my name is Josh. Today, we've locked Josh inside of a small padded room filled with bees.
And I have to figure out which one is the civilized bee that controls them all.
Just right. Where's the queen? Where's the queen? Find the queen.
The worst game of Among Us ever.
Joke's on you. The entire room's filled with like actual angry bees, but there's like the Queen of England is actually sitting in a corner. Just you have to get your way to her.
The one that was born the same year as Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. No, we actually like somewhere in like the very corner of a room in the corner of a padded room, we hid an actual queen from a chess set and told you that you couldn't leave the room full of bees until you found the queen, and you're just like, they're all worker bees. I don't understand.
Stupid chess piece.
Josh succumbed to the sting of the bees before he ever found the chess piece hidden in the corner.
It was right in front of him the whole time. It's actually just painted on the wall behind me.
Yeah. Dude, all you had to do was touch the painting. Gosh.
Worst escape room ever. No, that's work. So how have you been since the 2 days that we've recorded?
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
We did on Wednesday.
It's only been 2 days. Yeah. 2 days. Good. Things have been good. Great day at work yesterday, and I've been on the motorcycle past several days because it's been really nice here. So I've been
nice.
I've been a happy Josh. How about you?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad. It's been like it's been cooler in the morning, like low 60s in the morning, so it's like perfect. It almost feels like fall, but then it gets like 80. There's a decent chance of rain throughout the state tomorrow, because I've been checking the weather and stuff because we're going to Zimbizi Bay tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
So I've been kind of checking the weather and everything, but I got all the tickets bought and everything. And Mason, I looked earlier because I was like, oh, it would be nice to have like buy one of the cabanas and stuff, so we just have like a place to sit and don't have to worry about renting a locker and all that kind of stuff. And I looked like a week or two ago, and it looked like all of them were full. I checked this morning while I was at work, and there was like one available, so I was like, sweet. So I booked that. So he doesn't know I did that. So when we get there, I'll be like, they're like, run to the wave pool to get seats and be like, hey, I'm gonna go check in here at the cabana so we can get our stuff and everything.
What?
So
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was how productive my work day was today. So
Now, are you guys staying in Columbus overnight, or are you just going for the day and coming back?
No, we're just going for the day. I'm picking them up at 8, so I'm leaving the house at like 7:45 tomorrow morning because they want to go get snacks and stuff, and then they want to be there right before it opens, so they have the whole day to just hang out and stuff. So
that's awesome. Yeah, we love Columbus.
But yeah, I have to borrow my mom's car because she has a Traverse, because Mason's going and he's like 6'1", 6'2" now, and then we're bringing his friend Oscar, who's like 6'4", 6'5". So I'm like, I don't think my dad's car is going to be big enough for those two, and my car is definitely not big enough for those two. So
he doesn't have a friend that's 6'7" to take along with him.
No, not yet.
Yeah,
well, the funny thing is, like, Mason and Oscar, I think, are like, I want to say like they're probably the two tallest kids on the basketball team right now.
Wow.
There might be somebody who's like 6'2" or 6'3", but I think Oscar is definitely the tallest one that Doylestown has right now, to my recollection.
6'5" is pretty hefty for that age.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I don't know, like, relatively to Mason's age how old Oscar is, because Mason is one of the older kids in his grade, because obviously his birthday is August 1st. But
right. Hey, I got I did actually populate an entire new list of questions, yes, to ask. So I figured we could tick off one of those at the beginning of this episode. Before we dive into the cryptid, because you got cryptid this month.
I do.
I'm going to skip over my first one because it actually deals with a cryptid, and I think it might be the direction you're heading in today. So we'll go to number 2 on my list. So would you rather have to explain modern technology to a medieval knight, or explain medieval war tactics to a modern day 7-year-old?
Oh, 7-year-old all day. Ain't or medieval war tactics to a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. They're gonna be locked in.
You're gonna have some like just Genghis Khan ish little kid running around knowing all these medieval war tactics and stuff to take back to his elementary school.
Hey Timmy, let me tell you how a trebuchet works.
Yeah. Have you ever held a sword before? The teacher comes back and they're like, hey, how was the school year? And they're like, well, everything was great. And then all of a sudden, dodgeball turned into a whole new thing when little Timmy started learning about medieval war tactics. I've never seen a trebuchet throw a dodgeball before, but man, it freaking whizzes.
Yeah, little Timmy became quickly last picked in gym to first picked in gym. Absolutely. Because of his war tactic prowess.
It was perfect until he started lighting the dodgeballs on fire
and coating them in tar.
Yeah.
Timmy, why do you have all these feathers? Don't worry about it.
Shut up. Reasons, that's why. I love
it. Okay. Hear me out though. You take a dodgeball, or not a dodgeball, a tetherball.
Okay.
And like coat it in like a flammable substance, and you play tetherball, but it's on fire the whole time.
Oh gosh. I truly thought you were going to go the direction of the tetherball is actually like a flail that's attached to the top of a pole, and they've got.
I mean that's good too.
They've got like
a morning star.
They got like spears and stuff to try to knock it back and forth to the other side. But like just the most dangerous game of tetherball there's ever been in the existence of the world. That'd be hilarious. Gosh,
Jimmy, want to play a game?
Imagine on the flip side of it, if we were to go back and explain like modern technology to a medieval knight. And he was able to actually like harness some modicum of the power, that we have now and stuff. So like even just the modern technology of like weapons and stuff and forging steel and things along those lines, he could become a force to be reckoned with as well, depending on how he used it.
Oh, but then would that in turn change our modern technology? So then that would just be medieval technology.
Yeah, yeah, possibly. I mean, I guess that's the way that ultimately it would affect.
Or would that just do one of those timeline skews where it just, this is where the timeline jumped off, but you'd be going back to your timeline, not the future, not the Back to the Future paradox.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We would just come back to our own own personal timelines and not have to worry about the effects of what happens in that. But on some in a very Avenger esque that whole world where they branch off timelines, right. That would be like one of the ones that's the diverge. Of course, I think that you and I would probably end up in some hot water with the TVA at that point in time, so we'd have to figure that part out. But
it worked for Deadpool.
Oh well, Deadpool, yeah. I watched Loki, was where because that's where the TVA kind of got brought into the whole thing. So Brooke and I are big Loki fans.
Yeah, and that's for those of you who haven't watched the newest Deadpool and Wolverine, that's how. They brought basically in the Fox IPs into Disney, essentially to the Marvel MCU, was through the multiverse and through the TVA and everything. Because the Logan that is in Deadpool and Wolverine is not the same Logan that's in the MCU.
Yes,
because so it's a different Wolverine. That's why he has the iconic blue and yellow Wolverine suit. So, but like I said before, I'm actually excited for Doomsday.
Yeah, I know you're talking really about that. Good.
So I just I hope I'm not personally setting my expectations way too high for that movie, but
right. That's always the thing.
I mean, I also had very high expectations for Deadpool and Wolverine, and I was not let down.
Yeah. I still have not seen that movie yet, but I might check into it at some point in time. It's one of those ones that like the first couple of movies from him were just crude enough that I was like, I don't know, but we'll see.
It's one of those things where it kind of toes that line, but it's like the second one where the second one had more story. Like it wasn't just like a cash grab like everybody thought it was going to be.
Right.
There's like more of a story, and like, you know, Deadpool is just Deadpool the whole time, but it does have a story, and there is some different moment. It almost felt like a did you see, what was it? Free Guy?
Yeah,
the one where he's like an NPC.
The video game, yeah.
It's kind of like that, where it kind of like pulls in different things. Like there's one part of the movie where he's like, he goes to his timeline's Wolverine and he's dead and everything, and he like gets into a fight with the TVA.
Yeah.
And he's using like Wolverine's skeleton as like shield and stuff like that. And
that's funny. That's good stuff. All right, well, let's jump into this bad boy so we can get to our cryptid of the month this month.
Yes,
you'll be
sir.
up for that one, and then we'll dive into. I've got a story that I'm hoping I can keep really short for the end of this episode. We'll see. So, all right. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
Recognize me? No? Well, I'm Josh. I got suspended from school because of Josh.
You're going to be there with me in every way imaginable, Josh.
Josh is truly in a trance, yeah.
I went to high school with Josh, and I can tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Josh, these are people's jobs we're talking about, Josh.
Josh walking in the door wasn't even close.
Josh, you are a muffin-snuggling pirate puncher.
Josh is a good guy. We can talk to him.
Please welcome Joshua.
So it's kind of funny, like as we do the intros now and stuff, because there is like just a little bit of lag time between us and you, like when the audio comes across, and so I'll say like a line, like mouthing it along with it, and then watch you like say it like right after me, and so so for everybody out there who's watching video, if you're like, why are these guys not synced up, and every once in a while we'll talk over each other by accident and stuff, and that's all because of the little bit of lag time. It has nothing to do with us trying to be rude.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Like if you hear like the bigger pauses and things like that, it's either our videos catching up to one another, or just kind of waiting for a response, or not wanting to talk over the other person. So
yeah. Have you leaned over far enough where they can see like the full picture that you put up behind you there? Josh has got like a
scoot over. So this is courtesy of Joe. He sent us a new background image for the podcast. So
there's Joe's best friend, good old Jimothy back there, chowing down on some poop potatoes.
Down on some Matt Damon poop potatoes.
I love it.
But also, I'm a little upset at you, Josh.
At me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because not once since we started recording did you tell me that my background is not mirrored. So it's literally been backwards the whole time.
Yeah.
I just noticed that before the stream, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then I was like, oh wait, I have to flip that image completely backwards so it actually says it the right way. So
if I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, I hadn't noticed.
I kind of figured. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm the typical guy. Like details do not pop out to me, and I think partially because I know that it says "Good morning, Josh." Like my mind automatically just like reads it, and so I don't didn't even catch that it was not mirrored correctly or whatever. That was like back or mirrored, so it was backwards from normal.
Right. So today is August 3rd, so this is the first Monday of August, which is hard to believe that it's already August in general.
Yeah. Happy August, everybody.
So last month you talked about the Boojum.
Yes. Yeah, the Boojum was our cryptid of the month for July.
Yeah. So that was inspired by, you kind of going through the backwoods of North Carolina, on your motorcycle ride and that kind of stuff. And so in the midst of you leaving Ohio and moving and getting all that stuff together, we kind of glossed over some cryptid news
Yeah,
that was
true.
happening right here in Ohio.
Yep, we were a little focused on Jimothy as he came out and stuff like that, but there were definitely some things happening up in Northeast Ohio in particular, like up close to where we were.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was time. Like we've kind of strayed away from doing cryptids along this nature, just because they're more of the heavy hitters that are in the cryptid world. So the more recognizable names. So some of these legends they fade with time, and then there's ones that keep coming back. And so I think today is a good time to go into one of my favorite cryptids, and that would be old Papa Sass himself, Bigfoot.
Papa Sass, I like that. El Squatch.
So yeah. So I love your soaps and your deodorant and stuff like that. Anyway,
the soaps and stuff are amazing. I use their deodorant. I've got it in my bathroom right now.
I usually buy them on sale though, because they're a little pricey.
A little pricey.
So for generations, people across North America have reported seeing something large, upright, covered in hair, moving through the woods. Sometimes it's a single witness, sometimes it's a family, sometimes it's hikers, drivers, campers. It's where they see something that just doesn't look right. You're driving down the road and all of a sudden you kind of catch something out of the corner of your eye. You're like, that shouldn't be there.
Grandma, get back in the house.
Aunt Betty, what are you doing without a shirt on?
You got arrested last time. You know what's going to happen.
So the most interesting thing about Bigfoot is it's not generalized to one specific area. So it's not just West Virginia, it's not just Kentucky, it's not just Oregon, Washington. It's throughout the whole United States and other places in the world. It's just referred to as different iterations of the same thing that we would know as Bigfoot. You have the Yeti, you have the skunk ape, which is in more like Southern Ohio, West Virginia, things like that.
Yep.
So different regions, different witnesses, basically, but they all have the same description. So it's a more concrete, it's a more uniform description. Very tall, elusive, bipedal, hard to explain, and arguably the hide and seek champion of the world.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Yep.
So,
especially with the number of people that have been out looking for him for so long. Yeah, that dude has earned that title.
100%. So it's one of those things where in earlier this year, a cluster of reports start coming in from Northeast Ohio. So it pushed the legend back into the mainstream zeitgeist. It pushed it back into the forefront of everybody's mind, because Bigfoot's one of those things that he's always there.
Yeah. He's
just he goes into hiding for a while, then there's a string of sightings and everybody starts talking about him again, and then he kind of goes back into his reclusive ways. And I think that's what makes Bigfoot so interesting, is because it's not just a one-time piece in history where it's like it was seen from this to this and nobody's had any reports or anything like that since.
Yeah, and like you said, it's one of those things where if you look at like a bunch of the different things that we've covered in our cryptids and stuff, you'll see that like there's like the Ozark Howler, the Loveland Frogman. Like so many of the ones that we've covered, right, have a very specific, like their name includes usually the place that they're located at.
Right.
Whereas Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever name that they give to him and stuff, he's called different things in different regions, but it tends to hold pretty true that he doesn't have like one locality that everybody's like, he only exists here. He's like kind of all over the place.
Right. And I think the only other one that we've talked about that has more of a wide dispersion was the chupacabra.
Yeah.
Where it was, Mexico, but wasn't it into the States, like New Mexico?
Started out in Puerto Rico, and then was in
Puerto Rico.
He was in several places in like South America, made his way up into Mexico, and then across the border into Texas and stuff like that. And so it
was Texas.
He covered a pretty wide swath of places, but yeah, not nearly as wide, I don't think, as what we consider the Sasquatch to be.
Right. So before we kind of dig into the most recent reports from good old Ohio here, let's kind of go back and kind of trace the history of Bigfoot sightings and things like that. So the early Bigfoot sightings, so one of the earliest and most famous Bigfoot style in accounts is the Ape Canyon incident from 1924 in Washington State. So a group of gold prospectors said they encountered several, so not just one, but several large ape-like creatures near Mount St. Helens, and later claimed the beings threw rocks at their cabin throughout the night.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that kind of harkens back to the Snallygaster.
Yes. Yeah.
Where it was attacking a cabin and things like that. But I mean, even still, if you are in 1924's Washington State in the middle of nowhere looking for gold, and you're in a cabin and something starts hitting your cabin in the middle of the night, you're going to be terrified no matter what.
Yeah. I don't care if it's people, if it's an animal, whatever it is, something starts yucking rocks at you and stuff, and it's hitting your cabin all night long. Yeah, that's a reason to be like pretty scared.
Yeah. So another account from 1924 is the Albert Osterman story, which Osterman claimed he was abducted by a family of Sasquatch-like beings in British Columbia. So this is up in Canada. And it's one of the stranger stories in the broader Bigfoot record. Like many early accounts, it lives in that uneasy space between folklore and firsthand testimony. I think when Haunted Cosmos did their 2 episodes about the Bigfoot, they talked a lot about this story where, if I remember correctly, they brought him to like a cave and there was a bunch of them around. They weren't necessarily aggressive, but very curious and things like that. But he was like surrounded by these ape-like, very large creatures.
Yeah.
Which again, that's another fear of mine if I'm ever out camping or things like that. Just somebody randomly, abducting you and taking you somewhere, and you already have no idea where exactly you are. You have the idea of where you are.
Yeah.
But, even if it was just a bunch of hillbillies up in Canada that just took him somewhere and then decided to let him go, but he could never identify them, that's still scary in and of itself.
That's why we live by the motto, stay strapped or get clapped.
So there's also the William Rowe encounter from 1955. So about 11 years later in British Columbia. So we're still back in Canada. One of the more famous eyewitness reports in the modern era, Rowe said he saw a large female-like ape creature on Mica Mountain and described detailed physical features. Later became familiar in the Bigfoot lore. So that's where you get the tall, hairy, ape-like creature. This is what helped shape the classic portrayal of Bigfoot.
Okay. Yeah.
So so this is where we get all the details, and it's one of those things where like the mass hysteria, things like that, feed into this description of what Bigfoot was, what he described the Bigfoot was.
Gotcha.
So these early reports don't prove that Bigfoot exists, but they do show that the legend was already well established before the internet, before videos, before those kind of things, that there was something that was drawing people to this legend, this creature, even before we had the next one that we're going to talk about. And that is the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Okay. Yeah.
So
This is the famous
Patterson
one, right?
film where you have 1967, shot in Bluff Creek, California. It shows a very large, hairy figure walking across the riverbed, and for many believers, it remains the best known visual evidence of Bigfoot.
That's the one.
So that's where you get,
stride.
yeah, like every Bigfoot like silhouette cutout or any statue or anything is that classic pose. So if you've seen a statue or the big silhouette cutouts, that's from the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Yep, absolutely. That's the super famous one that everybody knows. Like you've seen it everywhere. Most people have seen that blurry image that's like a still from that film that they've like everybody has chopped up and analyzed to no end and stuff like that. And you know, but that's the OG.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like that's everybody goes to that for video evidence and that tangible evidence. And you know, I've heard people go back and forth, and you know, critics rip it apart, and the believers are give the very specific things that it doesn't make it a hoax and things like that. Like they're like, oh, it was a costume, but it's like one of those things where the detail of what they've been able to do with digital restoration and things like that, the detail of their, you know, the costume is way too advanced for that period of time.
Right.
The movement is very fluid. It's not like somebody's in a big costume, because, you know, bigger costumes, you'll have like sagging points, or you'll have like the movement feels more stiff or robotic or things like that. So again, you know, it's not been wholly disproven. It's not been wholly proven. It's just one of those things where it's a useful piece of evidence for both sides of the spectrum of believers and non-believers in Bigfoot.
Yeah, for sure.
So in the Pacific Northwest, the reports often describe encounters in heavily wooded terrain near rivers, logging roads, mountain trails. In the South, there are similar stories, sometimes tied to swampy areas and backcountry roads. That's where you get more of like the skunk ape. So you have like Sasquatch, Bigfoot in more wooded, foresty areas. You have the skunk ape in the swampy areas and things like that. And then you have the boojum, which is kind of a hybrid of both.
Yeah.
hippie foot.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So
he just likes his pretty rocks and his pretty girls, man. Everybody just leave him alone.
Yeah. So in each region, the setting changes, but the shape of the story stays familiar. Witnesses hear sounds, see large figures, and walk away convinced that they saw something real. So even though geographically it looks different, the creature that they're seeing is very similar every time.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and that's one reason that Bigfoot remains so difficult to pin down. The reports are often brief, isolated, often deeply emotional, because I know we've talked about a lot of these cryptids have that foreboding sense of dread around them.
Yeah,
where you feel utterly terrified, basically petrified, where you can't move, you can't think, you're just consumed by this uncanny presence that it basically you're just rendered catatonic at that moment.
Right.
And then you have all of these emotions flooding back when you can actually have the time to process things and go through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So that brings us to March of 2026.
Hey, that's recent.
So March 2026, Northeast Ohio saw a cluster of alleged sightings that drew local and national attention. Reports came in from Portage and Trumbull counties with from Manaway, Garrettsville, Headwaters Trail, Windham, Newport Township appearing again and again. So it wasn't just one isolated report. There were a few reports in these areas. So it's really funny for those of you who aren't in Ohio. I'm going to give you a spelling lesson. So the place is called Manaway. Okay, so phonetically spell how you would spell Manaway, not knowing how it's spelled.
Manaway.
Yeah.
Just like off the top of my head, it would be Manaway.
Right, Manaway.
Yeah.
Manaway is spelled Mantua, or the first time I ever read it and never heard it pronounced was Mantua.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what I would have said. Mantua. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I'm
not gonna make any jokes about a girl that was a meme for a while back, not too long ago.
So for those of you so you have Akron. So one of the big highways that runs through Akron is like 224.
Yep.
224-76. So if you take those, you go like it'll take you to Youngstown and eventually into like Pennsylvania, things like that. So if you just head straight out 224-76, you'll actually run into Manaway. So it's about, I'm gonna say like 45 minutes to an hour 15 from where I'm at in Ohio. So it's relatively close.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of caught my eye about this, is because of the localized nature of this.
Right.
Because I saw it at the time, and then everything kind of happened through April and May that we just didn't get a chance to talk about it. So that's what brought Bigfoot into the cryptid for August.
We mentioned it a couple of times to one another before I moved down and stuff like that, and we're just kind of like, before we knew that this move was going to be a definite thing, Josh and I were already kind of scheming about going out Bigfoot hunting and all that kind of stuff, and trying to get a piece of the pie in a sense.
Yeah. So basically, they are uncorroborated sightings and things like that from these reports. So one report from March 6th described a brown figure near Manaway Center along State Route 44. Another report on March 7th described an 8-foot figure with long arms, dark brown hair, grunting, and muddy footprints.
Mm-hmm.
March 9th, 2 hikers on the Headwaters Trail said they saw a very tall Sasquatch-like figure and heard a grunt. One account said the figure turned in an unusual way, seeming to move at the shoulders rather at the neck. So more of a I pinched something in my neck and I can't turn
slept wrong, can't do the turn thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Turn 40 and everything starts falling apart.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that was on March 9th. Later that same day, a woman in Windham reportedly saw a hairy 2-legged figure moving through the trees. On March 10th, in Newton Township, a homeowner described a large black shadow estimated at 8 to 10 feet tall near the tree line after his dog reacted badly. So, dogs, cats, animals all have that like sixth sense that we would call it. Like, when it storms, they kind of get like, before it storms, they get skittish. They have like other sensor receptors that we don't have. That's why, you can train dogs to sense like when people are going to have like a seizure and things like that. Right. So they do have some uncanny senses that we don't have. So the dog freaked out, and it doesn't say what kind of dog. So it could have been a Chihuahua and just freaking out over anything, but it's one of those things where the dog reacted and then he saw a very tall shadow and that kind of led him to,
but 8 to 10 foot tall. I mean, that's impressive. that's if you think there's an 8 to 10 foot tall like creature kind of watching over you from the woods, that's enough to send somebody home.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. So these are the kind of accounts that keep Bigfoot in the public conversation. They're vivid, specific, and difficult to completely dismiss, but there's still eyewitness reports and no verified proof. So, like I said, these were all anonymous. There's no names tied to these, but the fact that it kind of spans from the 6th through the 10th, so a solid 5 days? So 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So a solid 5-day span. Yeah, 6, 7.
We're keeping it alive. I'm doing it just for the sake of like bugging the heck out of my kid. But anyway, sorry.
Oh, 100%, 100%. That's the only reason why I do it. And so eyewitness testimony is the heart of the Bigfoot lore. So outside of the Patterson Gimlin film, you have some audio recordings and things like that, and take those with a grain of salt, because you can podcast over and voice over and do all these kind of things with video editing and things like that.
Right.
Where you don't necessarily oh, I have this tangible proof. Well, you could have easily edited all that noise in, and now with the where AI has taken things, that's one of my biggest gripes right now. Is I'm starting to not be able to tell what videos are AI generated and what are real.
It's getting tougher every single day. Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, even if they're AI generated, like I laugh so hard at some of these like videos, like of people like running into things, or, you know, just crazy videos that like are just enough probable that it keeps you interested, and then you kind of have to watch it a few times after you get the laughs out,
right,
and notice like little things like shouldn't be there. I saw a video where it was like, this is the craziest highway ever. You see like a horse and buggy, and then like a motorcycle zips by, and then a car zips by, and then a train is coming this way, and a plane's going over the highway, and then all of a sudden you see a boat just driving on the highway, like with waves and stuff.
Like,
and it's like,
okay,
you had me until the boat. You had me until the boat.
I forget what it was. I saw one earlier that was like something along those lines, and I'm trying to remember what it was, because it was like showed like some guys on a boat, and they were trying to essentially like attach a camera onto an octopus, and then they released it into the water, and I was like, you know, first off, my mind was like, nah, there's no way, because like, you know, an octopus would just like slip out of anything that you try to put on them like that. They can squeeze through like little tiny holes and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way. But then the octopus was like swimming through, and I'm like, it showed like another octopus that was like tucked down into like this little cove and some coral. And I was like, is that real? And then it kept on going. And the next thing you know, it turns this one corner, and there's like maybe in the first shot, like 20 like octopus that are like all kind of gathered in this one area. And I'm like, I've never seen that many octopus in one place, right? Like octopi, excuse me, whatever you call it. And then sure enough, he like swims over top of those guys. And when he goes into this little like cave thing, there's like an octopus rave going on where they have like lights, and like all the octopuses are wearing like sunglasses and stuff. And I'm like, they got me. Again, they reeled me in really good, like right at the very beginning of it. So I was like,
me in the first half.
Yeah. I'm like, gosh darn it, they did it again.
Right. But that's why, like, you know, more modern cryptids and things like that, where it's becoming so difficult to tell what is truly real, what's not, without actually digging into it.
Yeah.
And that's where like a lot of these things and a lot of these reports, where it's harder to sort out, and it takes more time to go through things, and you have more video capabilities and audio capabilities than you used to have in the 60s and 70s, where, you know, they had a lot of that tech, but not nearly as developed.
Yeah, for sure.
And because, you know, you're still making movies. I mean, you know, like we talked about in the last episode, the Star Wars, the original Star Wars came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like the late 70s. So they had computing technology, and a lot of practical effects.
Right.
And that's you know, into the modern era of movies and things like that. I think that's what takes me out of a lot of the superhero movies, is because you can tell so easily what is CGI and what's real.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's why I'm not a huge fan of them, because they're spending billions on these movies, and to me they don't look great.
Oh no, yeah, like there's like several examples that I've seen of people kind of comparing like the modern day Marvel stuff and everything to a lot of like the old school movies that used more practical special effects and things along those lines. And it's hands down better the old way, in my opinion. Like watching that stuff, at least it was more believable, you know, like you could kind of.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look at Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
The amount of practical effects in that movie that came out in what, 95?
Yeah, somewhere around there. It was like mid 90s. But yeah, like you're absolutely right. I mean, the Jurassic Park stuff is a prime example of that. The further they've gone along, the more you look at like we joke a lot about the most recent Jurassic Park and Derposaurus Rex and everything on there, but like even before that, as you look at the Chris Pratt ones and stuff, which were good movies, they still like the CGI in them took away an aspect of how the original ones made you feel and stuff. So
right. Yeah, but so and that's what with these modern sightings and things like that, like we haven't had like the video evidence that we used to have. Because a lot of times if we do have video evidence, it's so scrutinized that it's not necessarily worth putting out there.
Right.
Because even if it's something legitimate, you want to go to people who share your same beliefs, so it perpetuates the narrative in your circle that the Bigfoot legend is still alive, with the modern sightings and things like that, where the Bigfoot Society like helped to preserve these stories, but they're anonymous, so are they true? Like,
right.
But for the fact that like are these people part of the Bigfoot Society and just trying to get more Bigfoot back up into the mainstream instead of just the niche cryptid festivals and Mothman Festival and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we'll leave Bigfoot back in his little hidey hole for this. But like I said, it's one of those things where it's becoming so much. It's becoming much more difficult to have, I would say, quote unquote, genuine cryptid experiences, because you have so much technology that is available to anybody that they can do all these videos. I mean, I know there for a while, like at the beginning of the year, you and I absolutely loved the Sasquatch vlogging videos.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because like it's one of those things, like if you had no context, you'd be like, what is this creature? Like, what is this creature? Like it looks so believable.
Yeah, if you were to show those videos to somebody from, like a pre-modern era and stuff like that, it would boggle their minds. They'd be like, "Where is this thing? Where does he live at? How do we find him?" type of thing.
Right. Well, it's one of those things. Like if you went back to the gold miners in Washington and showed them these videos, like, oh my gosh, they incorporated into society. Like what we saw was real. Like, things like that. I mean,
he is real, and he's a little bit of an alcoholic and has really weird habits, like
yeah. But it's one of those things where it's cool that it has kind of resurfaced, because you haven't really heard a whole lot of Bigfoot news. In the last few decades. You'll have a spurt here or there, but unless the History Channel does a special, people, it kind of gets pushed back into the zeitgeist, and it's just like, oh yeah, he's on the cryptid Mount Rushmore, but that's where he's gonna stay.
I think it's cool that he's come back around. It's one of those things that like, there's a part of me, like we've had this discussion before, but there's a part of me that kind of always wants for one of these things to kind of be real, or us to find like some new evidence that's more solid and stuff. But the skeptical side of me also is like, I like here in North Carolina, there's so many guys around our area that are hunters and have trail cams everywhere out in the woods and stuff. And it's like, with all the technology we have these days, if it was real, the likelihood that we would have already caught him like for sure on camera is pretty high. I mean, either that or he really is just the absolute best hide and seek champion that the world will ever see. So I think he falls firmly in that category. So, well, I kind of teased you a little bit that I had like a short story thing to share with you. And so this was actually one of the ones that I had prepared that centers around World War II, because I know we keep going back to it. And but it's one of the ones I held on to for a little bit, because I didn't want us to like just keep hammering World War II stuff.
Into a World War II podcast.
We're always in danger of that being the case. So I wanted to share this one with you because I thought it was like really cool. I had never heard this story before. Maybe you have, but I'm going to take you back all the way to kind of the beginning of a lot of the big Allied invasion stuff that was going to happen in Europe. And so about D-Day. I mean, anybody that's like looked into World War II stuff knows D-Day. And so this kind of centers around the operation that took place on D-Day. So in the spring of 1944, we know that the Allied forces invaded like the Nazi-occupied Europe. And it was one of the most, as they set it up though, like in the years leading up to D-Day, essentially, this was like the biggest operation the world had ever put together. I mean, you're talking about multiple countries, huge armies and stuff like that having to be completely like orchestrated perfectly in order for this thing to go off and be successful, right? Like, and successful being like a very, very tough measurement in the midst of this, because D-Day, we lost so many good guys on in that invasion and stuff. And so, but some of the things about it, like, so the operation for D-Day, do you know the name of the operation, like what it was actually called? Because we famously know it as D-Day, but it actually had like an operation name.
I want to say that I do, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Okay, so the total operation was called Operation Overlord, was the name of it.
Yes.
Which,
okay. Yeah.
Dope name to give to an operation if you're going to pull it off, right? But so the amphibious side of it, so the amphibious landings that were going to take place on the beaches of Normandy were known as Operation Neptune. So, you know, it's Overlord, and then Neptune is what's coming in from the sea. And so everything to deal with this operation was given code names, right? So like everything was kept secret so that, you know, nobody was supposed to be able to figure out what was going on, like when it was going to happen, all that kind of stuff. So everything was good and everything seemed to be going along perfectly until something strange started happening on May the 2nd of 1944. So readers of the Daily Telegraph newspaper in Britain sat down and began to solve their crossword puzzles, right? Now, most of the people kind of finished this crossword puzzle and didn't think anything about it. Like, it's a pretty straightforward, just throwing out answers and stuff. But someone that was inside of British intelligence was doing the same crossword that morning and noticed that the solution to one of the equation things on there was Utah, like the state Utah, right? Now,
okay,
to almost everybody, that's just the name of an American state. To the Allied forces that were planning Operation Overlord, though, Utah was a secret code name for one of the beaches where the American troopers were going to land during the invasion. So the guy sees this and he kind of thinks like, man, that's a really strange coincidence, right? That a British newspaper happens to have one of our code words in the crossword puzzle. And then on May 22nd, another crossword puzzle comes out. One of the answers in that crossword puzzle was, you want to guess it? Do you remember what it was? Omaha. So again, strange, right? But you could kind of go, all right, maybe this is just a wild shot coincidence, right? Because now we have a U.S. state, we have a city in a U.S. state, Omaha, Nebraska. But it seemed innocent enough, so they didn't really think anything about it. They just kind of continue forward. But there's a couple of intelligence officers that kind of start to go, that seems strange, right? Like, we're going to at least kind of jot a note down about this, that we need to be paying attention. And then the next week's crossword puzzle came out, and it contained the word Overlord in it. And this wasn't just one of the beaches, right? Now it's the name of the actual operation.
Whole operation.
Yeah. So at this point in time, British intelligence gets like really uneasy. They started getting like, bent out of shape about like, okay, now this is very clearly not something that we can just ignore. And then days later, another one comes out, and mulberry is in the crossword puzzle. Now, the mulberries were one of the Allies' greatest engineering secrets. They were massive portable harbors that would be towed across the English Channel after the invasion to supply the armies landing in France. And so this was it's kind of a big deal, right? Like, that's not something that should have been showing up in sequence with these other things. And then another word appeared days later. Neptune showed up in this crossword puzzle. And the naval phase of the invasion was now, its name was out in the open in the crossword puzzle. And then finally, only days before D-Day itself, another one of their code names appeared in the same crossword puzzle. It was Juneau. So Juneau was the Canadian landing beach where the Canadian Army was going to be landing when they went in. So by now, the list includes Utah, Omaha, Overlord, Mulberry, Neptune, Juneau. Now they're thinking like this, it's impossible that this is not, somebody has our code names and is including them on this crossword puzzle. So now they're thinking through though. Has somebody gotten into the Allied headquarters? Were they trying to leak the invasion plans? Was a German spy communicating through crossword puzzles, right? So they're trying to like run down every lead that they can. So the investigation begins, and Britain's domestic intelligence agency, the MI5, treated the matter like with top, all priority that they could give to it, basically. So their attention goes to the guy who is writing the crosswords, naturally, right? So the guy's name is Leonard Dawe, D-A-W-E, Leonard Dawe. And Dawe was not a military officer. He was a schoolmaster from Surrey in England, who was the guy who just happened to create these crossword puzzles for the Daily Telegraph. And so naturally, they go and scoop him up, bring him in for questioning, and they begin to ask him questions like, "Hey, man, why do you have all these words and names, and where are you getting them from?" And Dawe insisted that he had no idea that any of these things were tied into military operations or military secrets concerning World War II, right? And the funny thing about it is that Dawe was actually completely telling the truth in all this. So nothing in his background suggested espionage. Nothing connected him to German intelligence, yet the coincidences were just impossible to explain. So eventually another clue emerges. Dawe would often ask his school boys that were in his classes, right, for unusual words to include in his crossword puzzles. So the boys in his classes had been suggesting to him all of these words that he had been putting into the crossword puzzles over the past several weeks. Unknown to Dawe, this is kind of the funny part of the story, most of these school children spent their free time wandering around the military camps that were there in England. And so they were just like, because they're there, right? They would just go out and they're just shooting the breeze, right, trying to see all the military, the tanks and planes and all the cool stuff. And so they're out there just...
That's what I would do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So these kids are out there hanging out around all of this stuff. And so what had happened was all of the American, British, Canadian troops, as they're preparing for the invasions and stuff, they're walking around these camps and they're using these code words to refer to the different operations, to refer to the different like types of supply chains and stuff that are going to have. And so these kids are hearing these words from the actual military guys themselves and then going back and when Dawe would ask them, "Hey, I need an unusual word for my crossword puzzle." What's more unusual to a bunch of school kids in England than places in America, the word overlord, all these kinds of things. So They're just throwing him out to him. And he's like, "Oh, that's a great word. I'll go see how I can tie it into the crossword puzzle." And he would build his crossword puzzles off of these code words for the D-Day operation. And so by the time they got done with the investigation and everything, MI5 ended up letting Dawe go free, naturally, because he hadn't done anything wrong. He wasn't like a spy or anything. But on June 6th, as we know, the invasion began in 1944. More than 156,000 Allied troops landed in Normandy. And the code names that had quietly appeared in this crossword puzzle over the weeks leading up to it suddenly became known around the world, where everybody knows Utah and Omaha and Project Overlord and Juneau and all these things. And so even today, it is one of the things that the historians and stuff like that are still mind-boggled about, the fact of the chances that these guys in the military were using these code words, kids picked up on them, took them to a guy who happened to be writing the crossword puzzle for an English telegram at the time, and that's how they got leaked.
Crazy.
It's a wild story.
Absolutely crazy.
I was like, the first time I heard about it, I was just like, no way, man. That's the most insane coincidence that could have ever been pulled off in that thing. So, yeah, that's the story of the leaked code words from D-Day.
Huh. Like you said, though, just the kids randomly hanging around innocently enough, just wanting to get a look of like, the tanks and everything that's going on, and just randomly hearing these words that they don't normally hear.
Yeah. Because you think about it, like if we were those kids, we would have been out there and been like, look, that guy's got an M1 Garand. Look, that guy's carrying a Luger. Look, that there's a tank over, and M1 Abrams over there. We would have been like gawking over all that stuff. But at the same time, you're roaming around seeing all these things, but you're hearing these military guys walking around and they're talking about Operation Overlord and Utah and Omaha and all this kind of stuff. And as a British kid, especially, you'd be like, oh, that's a weird word. That's a unique one. And just held on to it in your mind. Next thing you know, your professor's like, hey, tell me some unique words. And you're like, oh boy, have I got some for you.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I thought it was a fun story. So I figured I'd throw that one out there as a short one at the end of this episode. So, well, as we get ready to wrap up, we can, we'll remind everybody what we want them to do. So Josh, I'll let you talk about our Linktree account, and then I'll jump in on just about comments and stuff at the end.
Yeah. Make sure you guys go and to our Linktree at the bottom of the episode. It will have all of our links and everything in one convenient place. Our YouTube, our Spotify, which, oh, wow. Oh, hey.
Sorry, I got distracted.
Where you can just completely distracted.
Is that hot in here?
Train of thought.
My goodness gracious. Have you guys seen our Linktree account? It's in that direction.
Direction?
Yeah. Sorry,
might be up here.
I completely threw Josh off.
So we have our link tree at the bottom of our episodes. It's in our show notes. It's in all of our socials. Go to that and it will take you to all the different places. Go ahead and check all those out. Show us some love over there. Like I always say, you can like and follow us anywhere, and that will turn your notifications on. And make sure that wherever you listen to this podcast, go ahead and make sure you have that auto download checked. I know that's one thing that we haven't talked about for a while.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, the algorithms like downloads more than listens, which is kind of weird because it's one of those things where they assume that you're going to be listening to them repeatedly and things like that. So go ahead and make sure you have all of our episodes auto download, and you can check out our back catalog in case one of us decides to move again or
ouch, bro.
do anything crazy like that. So yeah, go ahead and check us out, and make sure that you go ahead and comment and like and share all of our stuff as well too.
Yeah, if you make sure you leave comments when we roll back around to the last of the month, then we'll be jumping back into our listener comments and stuff. And then we also just we haven't talked about this in a long time either. We'll ask you just go ahead and leave a review wherever you're listening to the podcast at. We always jokingly say, but kind of seriously say, give us 5 stars. And even if you want to leave a negative review, give it with 5 stars and just tell us, hey, you guys suck. We don't like the podcast or whatever, or what we could do better. Right. And if you do like the podcast, leave us an encouraging remark. We would love to hear those too, because that's a good balance.
Right. And I will give you guys this challenge. The more creative, if you do not like the podcast, the more creative 5-star review that you give us that you don't like it, we will actually read that verbatim on the episode.
100%. Yeah, we would actually enjoy that.
Summarize it. We will react to it as we are reading it, and like Josh and I said, we have thick skin. We can take criticism. We can take all that kind of stuff. So let us know what you guys want what you guys want to see from us. So it's one of those things where, we have all these goofy topics, like, Josh and I could probably talk about World War II stuff for ages, Star Wars stuff for ages, but we want to know what you guys want to see. Even if it's calling back to stuff that we've done in the past, like the games, now that we have the ability to do video, maybe redoing the Bean Boozled so you can actually see our facial reactions in real time. And if you want us to do like a live stream where we kind of do a whole episode that is like a Facebook Live or YouTube Live or stuff like that, like we are very open to that, as long as we can fit it in both of our schedules.
Right.
But again, or if you want to see us play, dumb video games, like we love doing that. So
yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's a good lead into that Josh said about playing games and stuff like that, because in our next episode, it comes out next Monday on August the the 10th, we will be playing a little bit of a game as the bulk of our thing.
Oh,
I've got some things to
really?
test Josh's brain out a little bit as we go through it. So it's going to be great. You're going to love it. All right. We will see you guys in the next episode. Hope you have a great week this week. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
So something I was thinking about that as of recording right now, I don't think either one of us have still done our challenges that we need to do. So we got to get on those.
What? We still need to do, and we could at minimum do the Facebook ones.
Yeah.
The easiest ones that you and I could easily do in 10 minutes.
We probably should have been able to check them off like as soon as we got done with that episode, but we haven't yet. So